Hey everyone, and thank you for listening to another great episode here. I'm your host, DJ Dell, 523. Last week, I just kind of gave you a little introduction to how I do things and what I like, and we kind of talked about the Gap Band and had a little brief history about music there, which was fun. Right now, I'm going to actually talk about an artist who was one of my favorites, and is one of my favorites, and that would be Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is an American music singer, songwriter, and record producer. A prominent figure in popular music during the second half of the 20th century, Wonder is one of the most successful songwriters and musicians of all time. The man is a virtual one-man band. He has used synthesizers and other electronic instruments during the 70s to reshape the conventions of R&B. He also helped drive the genre into the album era, crafting his albums with cohesive and often socially conscious statements with complex compositions. Stevie Wonder is hailed as a genius and has been credited for pioneering and influencing many musicians of many genres, including rhythm and blues, pop, soul, gospel, funk, and jazz. Stevie Wonder was blind since shortly after his birth. He was a styled prodigy, and he was known as Little Stevie Wonder when he first came in to Motown when they signed him under the Tamla label at the age of 11. In 1963, his single Fingertips was a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100, and when Wonder was 13, making him the youngest artist ever to top the charts. Wonder's critical success was at the peak of the 70s. His classic period began in 1972 with the album Music on My Mind and Talking Book, the latter which included the great song Superstition, which was one of the most distinctive and famous examples of the sound of the Horner clavinet keyboard. His works, Inner Vision in 1973, The Fulfillingness, First Finale in 1974, and Songs in the Key of Life in 1976, all won Grammy Awards for album of the year, making him tied record holder for most album of the year wins with 3. He is also the only artist to have won the award with 3 consecutive album releases. Wonder's classic period was culminated in 1976 and was noted for his funky style playing on the keyboard, personal control of the production, and a series of songs integrated with one another to make a concept album. Now I will note with that as well that in addition to him doing that, Marvin Gaye was also another artist who was influential in the concept album concept. Wonder made use of the computer music melodeon through his compositions of the soundtrack of the album Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants. It was also his first digital recording and one of the earliest popular albums to use the technology, which Wonder used for all of his subsequent recordings. Wonder's 1970 albums are widely regarded by writers as very influential, as his pioneering style of music helped shape the sound of pop music for the following decade. Wonder sold over 100 million albums during his career, making him one of the best-selling music artists of all time. He's won 25 Grammys, making him Grammy's most awarded solo artist of all time. He was the first Motown artist and the second African-American musician to win an Academy Award for Best Original Song for his 1984 film, The Woman in Red. Wonder has also been inducted into the Rhythm and Blues Music Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and has received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He is also noted for his work as an activist for political causes, including his 1980 campaign to make Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a federal holiday in the United States. In 2009, he was named to the United Nations Messenger of Peace. In 2014, he was honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In short, the man has done a lot in his 70 years of existence. And what's most incredible about it is the fact that he has done this without the ability of sight. What makes this really intriguing and amazing at the same time is not only does he sing, but he plays all his instruments, he's written music, and what he does would be impressive enough for someone who can see, but the fact that he was blind and doing this makes it even more incredible. The thing about it, I would say, is they always say that when you lack a certain ability such as sight or hearing or whatever, that it tends to heighten your other senses. And I'll tell you, for a man who's never really seen anything, the descriptions that he gives in his music, the storytelling that he does, is absolutely incredible. Now, I will tell you that for me, my favorite album from Stevie Wonder, I would say I have 2. The Fulfillingness First Finale is one, and my other one, I would have to say, would be Talking Book. Although all those albums from that 70s era I really enjoyed, but those 2 really hit me. But I will tell you right now, if you're a fan of soul music, I'm sure you've probably heard Stevie Wonder's music, but if you haven't, you need to check it out. And I would say if you really want to check anywhere, look at his 70s output. that was really the zenith of his creativity as far as I'm concerned. Now, his music in the 80s and since then has also been good, but really, if you really want to get a sense of what he's about, you need to check out those albums. That being said, he's one of many artists that I really enjoy, and I will tell you right now that if you listen to a lot of this current R&B music out there, you can definitely tell his influence in his singing style, his production style, and just the music in general. You can tell artists who have been directly influenced by his music. That being said, this is another episode here in the books, if you will. I just wanted to talk about Stevie Wonder because he's one of my favorite artists, and we're gonna come back with more material later on because I definitely want to keep this going. I'm having fun with this just as Dean is as well. We're definitely going to also be putting out more of our joint efforts, if you will, and we're going to have fun with that because this is going to be a good time. Just the idea that you can sit back for a moment and hear what we have to say and just sit back and enjoy yourself. Maybe have a little laugh or maybe even learn something that you didn't know before. Either way, it's a good thing. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I thank you for listening and be sure to check out future episodes here. But for now, I'm DJ Dell 523 saying goodnight and thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to DJ Dell 523's Dynamic Music Podcast. And remember, if you want to check out my radio show, The Urban Flow, you can check me out on Mixcloud at mixcloud.com/DJ DELL523.